Welcome to another episode of Ballin VA. You know, we keep coming with the heavy hitters, and now we got another legend in Virginia.
Yes,
we're talking about an ODU legend, a Richmond legend, and a VA legend, to be honest with you. In particular,
Marshall Walker, baby.
Marshall Walker, my man, Mr. Ronnie Wade. Mr. Wade, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight.
Absolutely, fellas. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, I talked about how you were a legend, but it started somewhere, and everybody has a story. So everybody wants to hear your story, Mr. Wade. We want to just talk about where it all started for you and where did you grow up and when did basketball become part of your life?
Well, you know, I'm a Northside guy. I grew up in Highland Park. You know, I got two older sisters and a younger brother, so I was that third sibling. And I was too young to go to the playground, so my father put up a basketball hoop in the backyard on the garage, and I just played back there and tore the grass up and did all the stuff I could do. After he got tired of me tearing up his yard, he allowed me to go down to Hoskins Fields with some of my buddies. And
Hoskins, yes, sir.
Hoskins Field just start hooping down there. Now, anybody knows Hoskins know they got three courts, right? They got the court for the beginners.
That's
they
right.
Got the middle court for the guys who are okay. Then they got the court for the legends. And that's where I sat down and used to watch Ed Sherrod and Michael Perry and Jack Epps and Monty Knight, and I used to sit there on my basketball and just watch them play. And I used to get it in.
Oof. Oof.
You remember those names, don't you?
Yes, I sure do. I'm from Highland Park, so you know I'm right there. Bro. I probably a little like I'm born in '74, so I was still in diapers probably.
Yeah, I feel you. But it was nice, man. I got to play in the backyard, and like I said, was working on just playing. I just had a passion for the game, and I loved it so much. I could never get enough. I remember days when it would rain, and I would stand at the back door and wait for the rain to stop, and I would go get my dad plywood boards out the garage and lay them on the yard just so I could shoot. And even in the wet, I didn't care. Had my coat on, cold outside. I just couldn't get enough. It was just a passion. So as I grew up and playing at that age, I went to middle school, and I'm a sixth grader, and it was a place in Highland Park. I don't know if you remember this, Larry, Bethlehem Center. They opened that up right there
on Brooklyn Park. Up the street.
Right on the street. And I went in there. I was probably, in the sixth grade year, how old? I don't know, 13 maybe?
Something like that.
That's about right.
12. So I go in there.
That wooden floor.
Yeah, that wooden floor. That's right. And I meet this guy. He's the coach there. His name is Keith Highsmith. Keith Highsmith was the point guard at VCU, played with Gerald Henderson and Ed Sherrod and Ren Watson and Danny Kotak and all those guys. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the sixth grade. I go in there, and he's putting a team together. He's got two teams. He's got a young team, and he's got an old team, which is 16 to 18, older guys. Mm-hmm. So we go in there, we start practicing, and he puts me with these old guys, to me at the time. And I'm playing, and he's running us through these drills. They're college drills. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we taking charges, we're boxing out, we're rebounding, keeping our hands up. I mean, he's teaching us the game, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I'm in middle school at Henderson Middle, and I won't even play for the school because I don't think the school can give me what this guy's giving me. And I'm just loving it. I'm learning the game. Okay. And I said, man, this is great. So by the time I get to the 8th grade, my buddies are telling me, man, you got to play for the middle school. You got to play. I say, well, I can't learn what I'm learning from this guy. I just can't do it. So I ended up playing for both. So I ended up playing for Henderson, played the game.
Shout out to Henderson too, man.
Henderson Middle, that's right, the Warriors, baby. We went 12-0.
Shout out to Henderson. I was there 6 through 8.
Yeah, that's right. We was 6 through 8.
I already said we won championships.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we won 6 and 7 that year.
Did y'all? Yeah, we went undefeated.
Y'all go undefeated. The Warriors. we went undefeated in 7th grade, and in 6th grade, I think we went like 10-2 or 11-1, something like that. But I know one of the years we did go.
Was Coach Cut coaching you, or was it Parker?
Cut was the coach. Yeah, Cut was the coach. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Cut was my coach too.
Cut and Mr. Parker was there too.
Yeah. So I played for him for the 8th grade, but I would play a game at Henderson, catch the activity bus, get home, have to knock my homework out, and go to Bethlehem Center for either practice or another game. So my day was full. So it was, but I couldn't get enough. It was just a passion. By the time the night ended, you beat. You just wore out. But you're young, you can run all day.
That's crazy.
But again, like I said, I practice all day. Just so my 8th grade year, I'm playing for Bethlehem Center. We're playing over at the Boys Club over on R Street in Church Hill. You know what that is? Salvation Army Boys Club.
That's over there by the Army, right behind, over by the graveyard.
There you go. There you go.
Avenue, yep.
So I'm playing in the 16 to 18-year-olds, but I'm like 13. And I'm playing in that league, and we playing in the championship game. And the team we playing against has a guy, Reggie Kane, Fletcher Johnson, Tony White, a lot of guys who played college ball, but these are men. They're in their upper 20s, early 30s. And we got to play them in the championship game. And so I play the game, and I have a good game. And I make the all-tournament team, but I'm like 13, 14. So I'm like, okay, ain't nothing about it. I'm in 8th grade. So we lose because they were a lot better than we were, but I played decent. That summer, I go to high school, and I walk into John Marshall, and I'm looking for my room. I'm a freshman looking for my room. And I walk to this room that has my room number on it, and the guy who's sitting behind the desk is Fletcher Johnson, the guy who was checking me in the championship game. And Fletcher Johnson, he's an all-time scorer at Randolph-Macon out here in Ashland.
He had a son that played at John Marshall, too.
That's right. Yeah, so he walks up to me, and he goes, this is a freshman classroom. I said, but I'm a freshman. And he remembers me for playing against him. And he said, well, sit right here. I'll be right back. So I'm thinking he's going to help me find my classroom. And he goes somewhere, and I'm sitting there waiting. And I look at the door in the hallway. Fletcher's at the door, and he's got this short guy with him with these big glasses on, and the glasses are on his nose.
It must be Coach
and he's got his arm folded, and it's Coach Frank Threeks, the legend, right?
I told him it was Threeks.
Yeah. I had never met Coach in my life, didn't know who he was, had no idea. So if you know Fletcher talks with his hands. He's all over the place. And Coach Threeks is just looking at me, and Fletcher's telling him this kid can play. He's a freshman, whatever. So the first day of practice, I go in for the JV. Fletcher sends me down to the varsity. Now they got Michael Strayhorn and all these studs down there. So I'm already getting some resentment because if these guys have played and they've earned their time, now you got some little freshmen coming in, going to take some minutes. They're not really feeling that. Coach Threeks was old school. He was very loyal to his upperclassmen. So he didn't want me to play. Stubborn. Yeah, he was just setting his ways. So Fletcher was like, you gotta play him. You got no choice once you start practicing. So lo and behold, season started. I'm on the team. First 2 or 3 games, I get no minutes. I sit on the bench, nothing. So about the 3rd or 4th game, the game is over. We leaving the floor, and I asked Coach Threeks, could I speak with him? And we go into the coach's office. I'm crying. I got a big afro, young, light-skinned, big dude. And I'm like, why do you have me on varsity if you're not going to play me? Put me back on JV and let me play with my buddies that came from Henderson and put me on varsity in 2 years. I'm good. I just want to play. And he looked at me, and I'm crying and carrying on and talking to him, and he doesn't say a word. When I finish, he says, don't you ever talk to me this way again. He walks out. That's the whole conversation. I'm like, wow. Next game we play, he puts me in. I play okay. Game after that, he puts me in. I play a little better. By the 10th game, I was starting, and we developed a relationship. And that's how my high school career started with Coach Threeks. Okay. And I have no idea, where it was going. I just wanted to play basketball, so I had no idea. I was naive. I was just hooping. I didn't care about nothing. I was getting my little 10 points and 8, 9 rebounds, and I was happy, Okay. So lo and behold, I don't know if y'all remember back then, it was a capital district. Are y'all familiar with that at all?
Yeah, it was a capital. Well, I remember a different capital district, which was probably different from y'all's. The capital district I was in was Armstrong, Kennedy, Henrico, Highland Springs.
Yeah, they changed it. Back then, the Capital District was all the black schools. It was John Marshall, TJ, Huguenot, JHW. Who am I missing? Armstrong, Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
So they played against each other. That was my freshman year. So the next year, they went to Marshall Walker. And that's when I first met Coach Callahan. But in the meantime, my freshman year, I was in school. There was a guy there named Fred Bibby, Coach Bibby of the Bibby family. Mike Bibby's uncle. His brother played for the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Another brother played for the 76ers. So he's a very athletic family.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Bibby was a very, very good basketball player. And he was a leading scorer in Fayetteville history. He's a leading scorer to this day. So every day I had to play Coach Bibby one-on-one. And I was late for my class. I had to play him one-on-one every day because he said nobody in the school could compete with him. I was the closest thing. So he would beat me, but he was a man. And he was hitting me, man. And, I mean, you want to cry, but you can't. You just got to keep playing. He was a lot smarter than I was. He was stronger than I was, but I played him every day. So by the time the sophomore year started, I was playing against guys who were like me. When they hit me, it felt like nothing. It was a three-point play most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So my body started developing from playing. My knowledge, because I had old school guys I was listening to, it really, really propelled me to be a smart player. Didn't know how my game was going to develop, but I understood the game. So it put me light years ahead of my competition at that time. So it was a beautiful course up to that point. Now when you come with Marshall Walker, you combine two schools, and you got all these guys in the gym. The first day I go there, you got 100 guys in the gym trying out for the team. And the tension is so thick, you can cut it with a knife. You got the Walker guys, and you got the John Marshall guys, and it's just unreal. But prior to me going to that practice, I'm playing with Coach Bibby all the time, and he puts me in an adult league, and I'm underage. I'm not supposed to be in the league. And in the league, you got you have Danny Kotak, Gerald Henderson, Michael Purr, Ed Sherrod, Jeff Butler. I mean, it's like a who's who of basketball, and I'm too young to be in the league. So I'm playing a game, and I get my eye bust open. And I got practice 2 days from there, my first practice with Marshall Walker, and I'm in an adult league. Eyelid hanging off. Coach Bibby takes me to the hospital. They sew it back on. I got a patch. I show up for the first day of practice for Marshall Walker. Never met Coach Callahan. And he walks over. I got a patch on my eye. I can't even practice. And he said, "What happened?" And I couldn't throw Coach under the bus. I said I was playing outside on the playground and got stuck in the eye. So I sit there and practice, and I watch these guys practice. And like I said, it was so thick. It was like tension. You could really cut it with a knife. And I met Bodine for the first time, Jesse Dart. And he was on the coach's staff. Bodine. You remember Bodine?
Bodine was my substitute teacher at Henderson.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Bodine comes over, and he says, "Hey, man," he said, "I'm going to be coaching with you this year. Looking forward to working with you." He said, "But it's going to be hard out here." He said, "You might not start on this team." I said, "Well, we'll see what happens." Everything was good. Season started. Tim Lewis is the guy. Lewis Hackett. I mean, we got some who's who guys can score. So I come out, I do my 10, 12 points, my rebounds, and play defense, and we just rolling right along. About game 5 of the season, Bodine comes over to me, and I can't tell you what he said, but he said, "You one tough so-and-so." He said, "Well, you tough." So we develop a relationship. We old school, man. We old school. So we played from there, and I had the best of both worlds. Coach Threese was a defensive guy, and he didn't want you to make mistakes and never beat yourself. Coach Callahan was an offensive guy. He wanted you to take every shot that was open. So we had the best of both worlds.
Right.
So Coach Callahan told me every day in practice, he said, "Wade, just play basketball. Just play basketball every day in practice." And he told me this every day, and I thought I was doing well. I was rebounding, playing hard, thought I was doing the right stuff. But one day he pulled me to the side. And he said, "You know why I tell you just play basketball?" I said, "Coach, I have no idea." I said, "I thought I was." He said, "You're playing like a robot. You don't want to make a mistake." He said, just go steal the ball and go down and dunk it. I said, oh, okay. I didn't want to take chances because I was drilled to do it a certain way. And that really opened up.
Right.
That really opened up my game. It took me from 12 points a game to 25.
Okay.
And that's where I stayed. Yeah.
Coach's confidence.
Coach's confidence. It was just I was very fortunate to have that situation, so it just helped me later on down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
When I had a good career, we went through and played in Marshall Walker, won the state championship, did all those things, and there's time for college, and I really did my homework, and I think that's where a lot of kids miss it today. They don't do their homework before they go to school. They look for the biggest name, where they can shine with their name or the name of the school, but they don't know who they got to beat out, what type of offense the coach is running. Is the coach going to be there after you sign? All those things.
We'll talk about it before you get to that, and that's the thing. You talk about those. I was recruited for you back then. Because the way it is now, I mean, you got coaches coming in and you watching them. How did ODU find you at Marshall Walker's? I know you was the All Metro, 83 y'all won the state championship. How did they get on your radar? How did you get on ODU's radar, or any school for that matter?
Mark West played at Old Dominion.
Okay.
From Petersburg.
Right.
I was a freshman at John Marshall, so we played Petersburg 3 times.
Okay.
So they were coming to see Mark, which back then is how guys got discovered. The coaches come to see one guy,
right,
and they find somebody else.
Right.
So they was coming to see Michael Strayhorn and Mark West, William and Mary Old Dominion, and all these guys, and they see me play. So when I come out after the game and some guy talking to your parents, that's who it is as a coach. So now you're on their radar. So you get to every game, people come to see Tim Lewis play. Whoever they come to see play, they notice you. And now they start talking to your parents. They watch your family. They see how you play. Right. And all of a sudden you go from meeting these people to getting all these letters, and you're on everybody's radar. So that's how they did it back then. They came to the games. They wrote you letters after the game. They sent you your stats. They sent you your articles from the paper. They would sign them. It was always getting a phone call every other day. It wasn't like the AAU where you have a meat market. Everybody's there. They watch your progress from freshman year all the way to senior year, and they got to know your families, so they knew what they were getting. Yeah. So it was quite different. Not like the internet and all that stuff now. No AAU. I had 5-star basketball camp up in Pennsylvania. I played outside. Me, Patrick. My roommates were Patrick Ewing, Billy Martin from Georgetown. Wow. It was John Sally. All these guys are our roommates when I went to AAU camp. Went to 5-star basketball camp, and the coaches could come, but they couldn't talk to you. They just watch you. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, you made a good point on, and I think a lot of young kids need to hear what you said. They came to see somebody else, but you knew that, and you still shine. And again, like I tell people all the time, like, they can own. They might not. That kid might not go to the school that's recruiting them.
Correct.
So they could be like, "Hey, who's the other kid over there?" You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like, that's balling out. And I love how you just said, "Look, they came to see Mark West, but I'm gonna put on the show so maybe they can recognize me as well."
Yeah, and I didn't even think about putting on the show. I just went out and played. I didn't know the coach because I was naive to the recruiting. I was a freshman. I didn't know. I was just there part of the team, and I just played your game, and they noticed something that I hadn't noticed. I was just playing because I love the game. Okay. And after that, they part of your family, man. They at your house for dinner. They calling you everywhere you turn. They showing up.
So you say you won a state championship in high school, and you transition to Old Dominion, and we're gonna talk about Mark West and again Kenny Gattison too was there, man. That's a crazy front line, and you were 6'6", you were 6'6", so. Yeah, they about 6'8", 6'9", so that's a good.
Yeah, Mark West was 6'9", but he had long arms like a 7'1" Kenny Gattison, 6'8". We had another backup center who was 6'10". We had a guy named Horace Lambert from Tidewater. He was 6'8". We had a nice sized team. And they played the right offense for me. Like I said, when I went there, they had two guys who could shoot the ball at small forward, and they had one guy they just recruited that wasn't playing. So I said I could beat all of them out. So, and I also like their offense they ran. They played from the inside out, but they pushed the ball and they pressed a lot, which was where I came from, which was my skill set. So it worked really, really well for me. You know, I had the Richmonds recruit me, William and Mary's, but I wasn't a guy who could run the wheel. That would have I'd have been bored with that. So I just had to go somewhere where I like the style of offense and also get a good education and where I like the environment.
Yeah. And you know, you were a captain.
Talk about, before you get to the ODU, I'm sorry, Wu.
No, go ahead.
What was your high school rivalries like? How was those games?
Well, you know, it was crazy.
John
You know,
Marshall.
we lived in Highland Park, as it said, right? So they when they went to the complexes, they changed my school zone. So I was at John Marshall. They changed the school zone. So I automatically went to JHW school zone. Peter Wolford, Raymond Neblett were they lived on the next block from me.
Oh, they're two other legends.
Right, two other legends. So then Fletcher Johnson, who was the guy who put me on varsity, got the Armstrong Kennedy job. So he's the head coach there. So this is the dilemma I got now. Fletcher Johnson is going like, hey, I know you're going to come with me because, you know, I'm your guy. Put you on varsity, come play for me at Armstrong Kennedy. Coach Booker called me and says, hey, Wade, I see you in my zone. I'm excited about having you.
George Webb.
And George Webb. I'm like, my dudes at Marshall Walker. That's my Henderson guys. And I got to know these guys. That's where I want to be. So because I played varsity as a freshman, they said it was more like recruiting. So if my father wrote a letter, they would let me stay at Marshall Walker. I was supposed to be at JHW. So my father wrote a letter and they let me stay at Marshall Walker, even though all my neighbors were JHW. So Greg Williams, Spurlock, all of my neighbors, but I got to play against them. So the rivalries, as you asked the question, was I'm going to school, I'm driving, they at the bus stop, we got to play them that night. So I let the window down and we talked trash back and forth before the game. So the rivalries was pretty good. But the basketball has changed now because back then, when you go through the middle, the guys would hit you with a bow. Yeah. They didn't take it. It wasn't personal. That's just the way we play. So you had to be man enough to go through that middle. But nowadays, you know, I'm a basketball official. You can't do it. It's an automatic foul. So the rivalries were heated. They were tough. And it always came down to us and JHW or Armstrong Kennedy, who was going to go to the state every year.
So what you have when you talk about those disparities in basketball when it comes to like eras, in the 80s, it was more physical. There was no three-point shot versus now everything is three-point shot. You can't, no hand checking.
Right.
And a lot of stuff like that. And so the eras is different in the way that people will kind of play the game now. So back then
it's very different. And like I said, the three-point shot came when I got to college, and for me, and I was in the Sun Belt. So Sun Belt, we had a three-point line, but if we played Richmond or JMU, it was no three-point line. So it was confusing. You had to know what game you was playing, whether the three-point was in effect or not. So it was a learning curve.
Really? So the game kind of slowed down, or it was fast paced? Was it different when y'all was playing with the 3-point line, like the game was faster, or the confusion part was maybe the game kind of slowed down because you was playing a half court without the 3-point line?
No, it didn't. It didn't really change because you only really took the 3-pointer back then unless you was wide open or it came in the flow of the offense. Now people play for the 3-point, but we didn't. If you got it, it was a bonus. But we still played the game to get the and one. Inside out, go to the bigs first. All of that was set up for the bigs. But it was never a part of you ran a play to get the 3 unless you needed it late in the game.
And people had to adapt to that too, right? I mean,
the
3-point line just started. Most people going inside the paint and penetrating, and you had to you had to get used to that 3-point line when it first came out too, right?
You did, and the 3-point line was at different spots too. Like in the Sun Belt, it ran right between the free throw line, which was a short one, which I loved. Then some of them ran at the top of the key, which added another foot to it. So you had different distances. So the Sun Belt one was like a free throw.
So VCU was in the Sun Belt when you were at Old Dominion, right?
Yeah.
So talk about coming back home. You were a Richmond legend, man. You coming back home and playing against VCU.
Oh, yeah.
They played in the Coliseum at that time, right?
Yeah. Well, Michael Brown played at Hopewell, and he was my rival. So Michael Brown, we wore the same number, actually, 22. And we battled for 4 years of high school. So what ended up happening when we had the All-Star game, Michael Brown was on the East squad with myself, Michael Brown, Coach Callahan coached us in the East. We had to go to Virginia Tech for the East-West All-Star game. The West had Johnny Newman, Dell Curry. Man, they were stacked. I mean, they had like 100 coaches watching them. We had like 10 watching us in practice. It was just crazy. And we playing at Virginia Tech. They were going to blow us out probably. That's the way it was lined up to be. We had everybody that was on our team. The tallest guy we had was 6'7". I mean, they had Hanley, who signed with me at Old Dominion, 6'10". And in warm-ups, we had like 3 guys that could dunk. Their whole team was rocking the cradle. They were just dunking, getting it in. Game started. Michael Brown, because he played against Marshall Walker for so many years, he knew our offense. So we had 3 Marshall Walker starters, Michael Brown, and we just plugged the guy in the center. And we ended up beating the West.
Are you serious?
We put a whipping on them, baby. Put a whipping on them. Because they only had one ball. Whoever got the ball wanted to shoot it. For us, we ran offense.
All those stars.
And y'all
had a lesser team, and y'all beat them.
One ball, brother. One ball. Yeah, you see it all the time.
That's what we were talking about that earlier, Mr. Wade.
I argue that all the time. About it. Yeah, we was arguing about that all because because
we knew once they got the ball and they shot. Because you knew once they got the ball,
and that's the thing. You can have great teams.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing. You already know you're gonna have great players, but when you have guys that can match up, it makes a whole big difference, man. It makes a difference, especially when you got a chemistry team and you know the other guys. In one game, anything can happen.
And you know what? We played so hard and so well that the crowd started actually clapping for us, even though we were in the West. Are you serious? Yeah, because they knew we were outmanned, but we played a better game. We knew once they shot the ball, all we had to do was box out and get the rebound.
Let me ask you this, Ronnie. Though, playing with two NBA players, did you see a difference in talent with West and Gattison?
Yes.
Like, did you know they were NBA guys?
Yes.
When you saw them in college?
Yeah.
Especially back then in the 80s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you go to college, you all are you come from areas where you all are player of the year, stud in your area, whatever. So as you go to college, it starts to downsize. So I went from scoring 25 points a game and 12 rebounds to scoring 12 points a game and 8 rebounds.
Now, hold on one second. Were you, and me and Larry talked about this earlier, were you comfortable with that in terms of, you knew that was going to help your team's success, knowing you came from Richmond, player of the year, and had a great career, go to Old Dominion, knowing you have 2 NBA players. Were you comfortable with that role?
Yeah, because if you're a true team guy, you want to win and you want to play, you better find a role.
There you go.
You better find a role if you want to play.
Right.
If your role is rebounding and playing defense.
That was my whole argument.
Yeah. You're right, Larry. You're right.
Thank you.
We talked. No, Ronnie. We got a little inside thing going on because we were talking about how guys now, Henry. How guys now are ranked so high, and they go to a school where they might be a role player,
right?
But they were highly regarded. You know what I mean? Before they got there, and you get
we were speaking about Henry Coleman.
Coleman in particular, where he came from Trinity and then went to Duke. But then when you get to college, like you said, Ronnie, it could be your role. Your role could be different than it was in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Gattison used to tell me. Well, I talk to Gattison every Sunday. My wife calls us old men. Talk to him this Sunday, and he told one of the reasons he went to Old Dominion was because he said that he was recruited highly, but he wanted to go somewhere where he could play and work on his game, and he could shine in a small pond.
Now, where was he from, Ronnie? Where was he from?
Oh, Wilmington, North Carolina.
Wilmington? Okay.
Yeah.
He played against Michael Jordan. They played against each other in high school.
He was from what? I didn't know.
Wilmington.
I never knew that neither.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he lives in Charlotte now. I talk to him every Sunday.
And what about Perry? He's from Petersburg, but where's he? Is he still?
Who's that? Mark West?
I'm sorry, West.
Yeah, West is in West. I talk to West too all the time. He's in Phoenix. He works on the Phoenix Sun staff, so and he's from Petersburg. Yeah, so we stay in touch as well. Yeah.
Okay.
We had another guy on our team that played in the pros too, named Mark Davis. Played for
Mark
Milwaukee.
Davis. Yeah.
I remember him. Did
he was on our team too.
Something like that?
Huh?
I think he played for Dallas, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, in Milwaukee. He's got two sons right now that play for Wisconsin. The Davis twins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you think that made you better, Ronnie, playing with those guys? I mean, like, you knew those guys were coming in. You knew West from high school.
Yeah.
But Gattison coming in at 6'9", did you know that, like, you were going to get better playing with those guys in college?
Yeah, I knew I was going to be – I knew I was going to play. I just had to find where I was going to play at and what my role was going to be. And if you know the game and you play hard and you can help the team win, a coach is going to find you minutes. They're going to find you minutes. You just got to be willing to do what nobody else wants to do. And if you rebound and you play defense and you got a good IQ for the game, it's hard to keep that person on the bench.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I tried to instill in my son when I was coaching him. If you understand the game and you know what the need is for that night, and the coach know you know what the need is for that night, you're too valuable to be on the bench. So you always going to have a role.
Yeah, see, man, you know, you came in right on point because we were talking about this.
Yes, he did.
We were talking about this the last couple of days, and me and Larry. I mean, that's my guy, man. We got into a heated argument today and the other day, but see, it's all love, bro. It's all love.
Right, sure.
We were talking about how, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Because it's so much how, you know, you got these guys that are highly recruited and they get to college and their role changes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And go ahead, Larry.
No, go ahead, Booby. No, go ahead. No, you're going. No, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying their role changes when they get to college because the coach might have a different agenda for you because he sees you differently. I mean, in high school, you know, you average.
You're the best player.
You're the best player. You get to college,
you're not the best player no more.
There's 5, 6, 6 guys on the
roster.
There
you go.
Yep.
There you go.
So
yeah. You know when it really hit me. This is when it really hit me. I was doing everything in this area that, you know, I was getting my points, doing my thing. I went to 5-star basketball camp. Right. And I played a game. I played against Len Bias. And he was a whole different beast. I said,
talk about
guy, you know, I grew up in that area. Yeah.
Yes. I say,
how was he? Tell me that story. How was he?
Well, we were playing in the game and somebody shot the ball and Len and I were matched up. And when I looked up, he bowled me in the stomach and knocked the wind out of me. And he said, "Hurt, don't." And he went on down court. Now, you know us.
He was talking to you too. He was talking.
But you know us now. We from the streets, so you know how you play. If somebody gets you, you got to get them back.
You got to get them back.
So he went in for a move, and I took him out. Now we playing outside on the concrete. So when I hit him, he hit the fence, and he bounced off the fence. Now he was bigger than me, so I walked past him, say, "Hurt, don't it?" and kept walking. But that night, you know, we all stayed in the same dorm. We was laughing about it because you would have never gained respect if you hadn't done it. Right. But he was a whole different beast. Patrick Ewing was a beast. Billy Martin played at Georgetown, was a beast. John Sally was a beast. I mean, we had Kenny Patterson from DePaul was a beast. Dan Ripple from NC State. These are all my roommates. I mean, we went at it every day.
Wow.
Listen,
see right here on Ballin VA, y'all.
Larry, I was getting ready to say that.
See, this is why you go get guys like Ronnie Wade that been through this and know. And see, this is stories that we don't know that we want you to tell your story, give me your flowers, bro, because we would have never known that if you had
Larry.
Man, I'm sorry, Ron. I get so excited. No. This is why we do this. This is exactly why Woob and I do this, man. Yes, we love these stories, man. God, man. I'm sorry. I got excited.
No, I was just saying preach, man, because you talking about Len Bias, who was an all-time great, rest in peace, my man. John Sally. I mean, you just went down the list, and you played with 2 NBA guys in college.
Right.
So you could pick their brain. And again, it's the era was different. You know, those guys, I think Gattison, both of them stayed 4 years, right, Ronnie? Both of them stayed 4 years in college?
Yes.
So, I mean, they developed, and they were grown men when they got to the league. You know what I mean?
And, you know, we have relationships to this day. They both call my son and stay in his ear and pump him up. And, you know, so it's a beautiful thing.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We're going to transition to that real quick, and we're going to come back to your career. But your son, did you nudge him a little bit, saying, "Hey, Old Dominion is a school for you"? And
No.
me and Larry talk about how I think.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, but
now, Larry knows how I am. I'm laid back. I know you are. I clap for both teams.
But I really do think that Old Dominion was a good spot for him.
Sure, absolutely, very good spot.
And I've been following the program for a long time. You know, when Blaine and Jeff Jones. Jeff Capel was coaching, and Blaine, and now Jeff Jones. So I know that Old Dominion is a good spot for him. But just talk about your son Ronnie, a little bit real quick before we come back to you. But what was it like seeing him develop as a good basketball player around the same height, right? He's 6'5", you're 6'6".
Same height. We got similar games, but we got some differences. You know, he when I was working, I was running a couple businesses, and I wanted to coach my son, so I resigned from those. And because there's a lot of coaches who are volunteer coaches that do a good job, but they don't really know the ins and outs. And I wanted to make sure he knew the game as far as to do everything. I wanted to be able to rebound, to play defense, to pass, to handle the ball. I want to be, if you're all around players we talked about earlier, there's always going to be a place for you. Now, I didn't know he was going to get that tall. I didn't know how his game was going to develop. I just wanted him to play the game that he loved. So I was able to coach him up until he was about 13 years old, until I turned him over to Rain and then to Boo Williams. But he was it was fun working with him, watching him develop, and he has a really, really high IQ for the game. And that's why he can play anywhere he wants to play. Now, as far as me nudging him in Old Dominion, I told him when he was being recruited, you will know who likes you and who loves you. You'll know the difference. You'll know who likes you and who loves you. I say just go with your heart. And then look at the situations. Do your homework. Who's coaching there? What style do they play? Who do you is that a place you're going to want to be if you got injured and you couldn't play no more? Are you going to be happy? And so we went through all those scenarios, and he picked Old Dominion on his own.
That is dope, man, because I tell you, I've been following your son since the Rain days when he was at Hanover. And I remember Trinity had played them in Summer League, and I saw him play. I just always lame. And he's such a genuine person. He's always just as cool as a fan. I always liked him as a person, but I like this game because he played with that edge.
Yeah.
And he was just that edge. And for me, when y'all came over to Trinity, when I heard that y'all was thinking about it, I said, man, we get him. That will put us over there because he just had that edge that we needed to get to that championship level where we wanted to not just get there, but to win. And he did that. And so forever, to me, I will always be forever indebted to him because I said, Malik, this your year. Malik said, I'm going to get about, try to go for 15, 20 points. But when Jason was coming over, Malik said, hey, I'll fall back. I'll play Draymond Green role. Do the dirty work. We can win because he averaged 25 points a game. I know what he brings to the table. It was a conversation that me and Malik had in this room. It was probably about a 2-minute conversation. And I was like, okay, cool.
But
the rest is history.
It's history, and I can vouch for that because Larry introduced me to your son at Boo. Remember Larry? Introduced me to him? Man, listen, very mild-mannered man, and yes, sir, and I told him I went to ODU, and I know ODU was one of his choices, and I just remember him just being an all-around player, just a team guy.
Yeah,
and that's what Jeff Jones is about. What I mean? And like you said, you didn't nudge him, but you knew the system.
Yeah,
and you knew that he could have took the easier way out and went to VCU, the hometown team.
Yeah,
but he chose a team, and unfortunately, he's not playing this year. But he gets that extra year. But
it'll be all good. Just we're all tested sometime. We're all tested.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but he'll be fine. And I remember, Larry, when I first met you, I think it was at Stewart doing one of the summer league games. You came over and introduced
Yep,
yourself.
Summer League,
and you said, "Hey man, your son think about coming to Trinity." I don't know if you remember that. And
I remember.
you remember that? And I was like,
we were playing.
we
We were playing
looking at it,
Monica that day.
whatever. And you were like, man, anything I could do, let me know. I was like, man, okay.
I was excited, man.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I want that championship bad, man. I was like, man, this is our year. We had the right 4 guys, and we were just missing him. But go ahead, Ronnie, tell that story.
Well,
man.
you know, when I first met Coach Hamlin, I went over to Stewart, and I met him, and we sat in his office, and he said to me, he said, Ronnie, he says, Jason going to be okay not being able to be the player he was at Hanover and, you know, play the minutes that he played. And I looked at Coach Hamlin and I said, Coach, you're going to have a problem deciding when you can afford to take him out the game. And that's all I said. About 3 games into the season, Coach Hamlin came to me and said, Wade, I see what you're saying.
Yes,
I
sir.
see what you're saying. Because he really, I don't think he really knew what he had coming. I knew what he had coming, but he didn't really know. So once he saw
he didn't know
he had a coach on the floor, it was like, you know, it was a wrap. Yeah.
By the way, 2 key players.
It made it easy because you had those guys. You had
you had Ed Davis and Jason Wade who left Hanover. Ed Davis went to Benedictine, am I right on that?
Correct.
Right.
And then of course Jason Wade went to Trinity. So Hanover, you gotta keep y'all players, man. Come on.
But to Hanover's credit, Hanover's a great school, and they were big into football at the time. Basketball just really wasn't their thing, and the guy who was coaching them, Coach Thornton, is a buddy of mine. We played ball together every Thursday night. And the hardest thing I had to do was call him and say, hey, man, Jason's not coming back. Because he not only was he Jason's coach, he was Jason's counselor. So I had to get his transcripts from him. Yeah. So, but he understood. And it was a great move for Jason. And academically, everything. It was just really, really good move. You know, sometimes you get it right. We got it right.
He prepared him for the next level too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going to Trinity.
And lastly, before we go into that, man, because while we on that subject, how do you feel like the competition that we played against at Trinity when we beat some of those teams that we played? Because you was intense, man, especially when we went up to DC the first time when we played against them teams up there. You know, how did you feel about that? Jason getting ready, playing that type of level of competition.
Well, you know, I knew he could compete and do well. My thing with Jason was I had to get him to understand. You sat beside me, you know, there's when to take a foul, when not to take a foul. I say sometimes you got to let a layup go because you're too valuable. You have to be on the floor. And that was the toughest thing for me at those games when he wants to make the play, but sometimes you just got to let it go. And some guys just don't get that. Sometimes you got to step out the way and not take the charge. Because you remember in the championship game, I had to yell from him to run off the court one time because the guy was coming his way. It would have been his 3rd foul. And he ran off the court because sometimes you're just in a bad situation. And so I think once I got that through to him, and then he got his first lesson, his first game at Old Dominion, and Coach Jones got it through to him when he made a stupid foul. He set the rest of the game. And the game was over. When he came out, I knew what Coach Jones did. First thing I said to him, I said, you get the message? And he said, yes, sir. So, you know, that was the hardest part for me. But the rest of it, I knew he would be fine.
So Ronnie, going back to your career, you have a great career at Old Dominion. You're a captain. You're playing with 2 NBA guys. What's your mindset, Ronnie, you know, going through your career, at the end of your career, you know, what are you thinking that it's going to be your future at that point? Are you thinking overseas? Are you thinking pro? Or are you just thinking?
No, man, you know, I went to school. I wanted to go in business. I majored in business, minored in marketing. I want to get a job where I could wear a suit and, you know, look good every day and work with people because I love people. And I end up, when I graduated, Gattison had just gotten drafted by the Phoenix Suns. And I got a call that summer. It was a guy who was an assistant coach at VCU, had gotten a job in Finland. And he needed a small forward, big guard. And because I played against VCU and he knew me, he gave me a call, said, would you be interested in coming to Finland to play basketball? I was done.
Remember that, people. He played it, he did his thing, and he got a call. But go ahead, I didn't mean to I'm just letting you people know.
I get a call, and I'm like, man, I hadn't thought about playing beyond college. I was good. Right. I got my degree. I had great family support. Right. I was good. So I get this call, and I said, okay, I'll do it. So I go overseas and go to Finland, and I get to travel. I go to Russia, Sweden, Hungary, Tel Aviv. I'm in Israel playing ball, saving up some money, sending it home, put it in the bank. Nice. I didn't have any expenses. It was like I was over there for 3 months, and they had to call me to tell me to come pick up my check because I had no expenses. I was just playing ball. I had no expenses. Fun, man. Yeah. I got in the clubs for free. I didn't pay for anything. I had an apartment. They gave me meal tickets. I had trolley tickets to get around. The American dollar was strong at the time, 5 marks to $1. I was good. So I started sending my checks home to my father, and he would put it in the bank for me so I could save some money.
Oh, man. When you forget about your checks, you're doing good.
It was, but I thought I was still in college. I didn't think about it. Yeah. It was everything was good. So I stayed over there for a couple of years playing ball and had a good time. And then when they asked me if I wanted to give up my citizenship to stay over there, you didn't have dual citizenships then. And I was like, oh no, can't do that. Bro. Got to go. Yeah. So I met a guy over there named Bernard Harris. He played at VCU called Supernard. He played back in Gerald Henderson days and all that. He had given up his citizenship. He's still over there to this day. He's a legend. And so I was over there with him, and he schooled me, gave me the ropes and things of that nature. So, no, it was a good burn. But I came home and got into sales and marketing and been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. Wow. So after all of that, man, when did you meet the love of your life, man, Miss Linda? Did you meet her in school?
Yeah, Old Dominion, man. Gave her a ride home, and her car, she had been in an accident, and got to know her. We used to hang out, and I started taking her to some summer league games during the summer when I was here. And, we dated for 7 years. Now we've been married going on 31 years. And it was all good. You know how she is, laid back, easy going.
Yeah, babe. Miss Linda, she always play her position. She always cool, man.
Yeah, always cool, man. She takes care of me.
But talk about Jordan, man. We talked about Jason. Talk about what Jordan is doing. And Jordan is in school right now at ODU. Correct.
Well, Jordan is the oldest of the two. He and Jason are exactly 3 years apart. And I would play ball every Thursday night. I had a group of guys. We would go over to play at John Marshall, myself, Corey Alexander, a lot of old school guys, and we would just hoop. Jordan and Jason were young. So they would go over there and we would play. They would sit on the side and watch. When the game was over, they would play one-on-one up the whole court. And they would battle. Jordan was just older and stronger, and Jason would get so upset and just want to fight and play. And they would just play and play. So that thing about your brothers, the older brother's the one that really pushed you. I think he really was the one that helped Jason develop into the player he became. Because once Jason got bigger, stronger, his game had developed, and he still wanted to play Jordan. Jordan backed off, and Jason didn't understand that he had surpassed him. So, but he was a big push for him. So Jordan loves the game. And once he couldn't go on to play anymore, I got him into officiating, which he's doing now. He's doing a wonderful job. Jordan is only 25, and he's been roughing for 5 years. And he's under the mentorship of Tony Brothers, who went to Old Dominion, who's an NBA official. So Tony is his mentor, and getting him ready. Jordan's ambition is to be a college official and maybe one day NBA. So that's awesome. So had I known how fun this officiating was when I was younger, I would have done it. But I got into it. It keeps me close to the game. It keeps my cardio, stay in some shape. And so I just wanted to get him into it when he's young, and it's really, really changed him. And he and Jason live together down at Old Dominion. So they're very, very close.
And real quick, you need to check out Tony Brothers Restaurant. You got a nice jazz club down here.
I heard.
Oh man, it's amazing.
On Collie Avenue, I heard, right?
It's on downtown.
Collie, I
North.
think somebody was telling me, yeah.
It's really nice, man. It's really
I
nice.
heard I told him he picked a heck of a time to open a restaurant.
I know,
during the
pandemic, right?
Yeah, he had already committed. He
already
to
got everything in it.
Yeah. But it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll put his money into it.
Yeah, Tony, good dude.
He's a great guy. You know, went to North, went to ODU too. So like you
he came out the same time I did.
Yep. So
question. Like I told you, Calvin Duncan told me to tell you what's up. You know, of course.
Yeah.
Who was the best player? Have you ever seen him come out in the state of Virginia, the Richmond area, and then you could say the state of Virginia, and as far as
the state of Virginia
that you played against, saw anything?
Played against some. The toughest guy I ever played against that really took me to school was Kelly Tripucka. Y'all remember that name?
Woo, he's from Virginia.
He played at Notre Dame.
Yeah, the shooter. Yeah, from
Detroit. College.
Detroit.
Tripucka.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was a freshman and we played Notre Dame. Man, I went out there, man. He
gave you work?
Oh, man, because Kelly Tripucka's 6'5", but he could play post up. He had a mid-range. He could shoot off 1 foot.
He was tough in the league, too.
Yeah.
He was tough.
Yeah, played in the league for a long time.
Yeah, two-time
Yeah, he
champ
put
for
work
Detroit,
in
right?
on me. I was like, man.
He was tough. He was tough.
Yeah. And so another guy,
Kelly
I don't know if y'all
Tripucka.
remember this name, Terry Catwich, played for the Bullets, played at South Alabama.
Terry Catwich, you bringing it back.
Yeah. Terry Catwich is about 6'8". He had these big old rusty hands, big hands, but he had little legs, couldn't jump, but he could score the ball. So we played South Alabama, and they put Mark West on it. And Mark couldn't step out. Mark liked to stay in that paint. So Terry Catwich was giving them numbers. So then they put Gattison on him. Gattison about the same size. But Gattison really wasn't known for his defense. He was known for more his offense. So Coach Webb come up with this big idea. Let's put Wade on him. He our best defender. I'm 6'5". Man, I got on Catwich, went to the box twice, a mouse in the house. He scored on me. I ran past the bench, said, Coach, I can't check him either.
Can't check him.
He was already in the zone. I said, I ain't going to be in the paper tomorrow, say he put 40 on Wade. We better go to a zone.
But look, man.
I say Mark West and Kenny started this mess.
And let me ask you this question, Ronnie. You'd be a perfect person to answer this question. Me and Larry had to talk about this earlier. You played an era where the public schools were just, every night you balled against all American talent.
Yeah.
Your son played at a private school level. Do you see a difference in talent? Obviously it's different now than it was back then. But with your son going from Hanover Public School to Trinity, and you playing in public school, and you refereeing, and you seeing other public school leagues, what do you think about the difference in talent and the difference in competition and just the difference in the Virginia State basketball? Just a whole level of sports going on with the private league versus public league and the competition.
I think now the private leagues have gotten a lot better, but those city schools back then, man, they had some dogs, man. 1 through 15 on the team, they got after it. It was just a different environment.
It was.
And, back then, a Benedictine, any of them, they wouldn't have been able to compete with us. We would have destroyed them.
Right.
They couldn't compete. We were just too tough, man, from 1 to 15. But now, a lot of guys are moving on, jumping ship, going there. So it's just different. Trinity had some great teams, but they played John Marshall, they lost. They played L.C. Bird, they lost. Why? Is it something?
We lost.
Yeah, because we lost. It's just those city schools got an edge about them, man.
Yeah.
They're just doggy dog. Those guys.
That's what I tell people. I told them, I said it was matchups, man. Sometimes, because people think that private schools have an advantage, and I told them not necessarily, man. If you can play, but a lot of times it's about matchups.
Yeah.
And like I said, Trinity, we played Bird. We just that night, man. I don't even really know what happened. That night when we that game, I think.
No, I think Trinity had more talent than Bird that night. But
they
like
just
you said. Sometimes you're gonna have a city team just got dogs.
Just got dogs in them, man. They just come out.
You know what? And you know what?
Right, they do. Yeah.
A dog doesn't necessarily mean you have more talent. It's just a
Correct.
dog.
Correct.
You just got a dog just is willing to do whatever it takes to win.
Correct. Like we
And
talked earlier, the East-West
To
game,
win.
we had no business winning that game. No.
Thank you, but you had dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had dogs,
Right,
man.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So no matter how many great players that you may have, if anything, and like I said, anything can always happen on one night. I don't give a damn who you. If you got the right chemistry and the right focus, and like I said, you got some guys that's willing to sacrifice. You can beat anybody on a given night. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, do you agree or disagree with that?
You know, and let me give you an example about when you start talking about these elite players, Mark West, Kenny Gattison goes to the next era or to the next level.
Yeah,
it's something about them that they take a passion with this thing.
Right.
It's different.
And
it's different. It's
right.
different.
When I was a freshman, we signed with Old Dominion, and so Coach Webb used to bring the team up to Richmond. We would do blue and white games, like at Henrico High School, different places. So I'm a freshman. Gattison's a freshman. We playing against the upperclassmen. We got a scrimmage going on. You got your family there, your friends. Everybody come see you play. I made a move. I went past my guy, went to the rim. Mark West comes over to block my shot, but he's a second slow, and I don't get him, right? Bow! You know, everybody go crazy. You know, everything cool. Ain't no big deal. You kind of forget about it, right? We in practice. We're in practice probably 3 weeks later. We got a scrimmage going on, man. I make a move. I go to the rim. He not only does he block my shot, he pushes me to the ground. When I hit the ground, all the oxygen comes out my body. I can't even catch my breath. He said, "You won't do that again."
Do it again.
He remembered.
He remembered that.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about, the dog mentality.
Yeah.
Like they don't get that. And it's a different level of talent.
Correct.
The NBA talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And we boys.
And you boys. But he got pride. He got pride in himself and pride in his game.
Right.
And he's like, look, you're not gonna come around here and embarrass me. I'm gonna come back and get you with it.
Correct. And I thought nothing of it. Nothing of it. It was crazy. But that's how those guys. That's why you go to the next level.
They level, exactly. That's why they get to where certain guys level out, and then some guys just say, no, man, you know, they just move on to that extra level, which is the NBA, you know. So that's just, you know.
Yeah, I tell all the young guys now, if you're trying to play ball, just learn the game, learn the fundamentals, play good defense, play hard. You'll find a spot. Like I said, I transitioned from college, from high school, 25 a game to 10, 12 a game. Yeah. But I'll have to go out and check Johnny Newman, and then the next night, Dell Curry. Then I have to check the guy Bradley, who was leading the country in scoring. Then I got Calvin Duncan. I mean, so you had to work. So for a coach to trust you and put you out there against those guys, because they're going to work you. And people going to run screens, and you got to stay in the game and not foul out. It's man, it wasn't easy, man, because they were all different type of dudes, but I had to study them. You know, and the only guy I couldn't really figure out was that daggone Dell Curry, because he didn't sweat. He make me mad. I said, man, do you ever sweat? He just shoot. He just so cool. You know. Yeah. I say, son, do you ever sweat?
Tell us. Yeah, how was that playing against Dell? What did Dell Curry do that was just like, we know he was a great shooter, but like you say, he made it look so easy.
Dell had those big hands. He could handle the ball. He had great range, and he had a great understanding. He understood the game. You know, so he was just he ran off a lot of screens. He didn't try to do anything he couldn't do. He was a great rebounder, got long arms. And he just played hard, but he didn't look like it. You know how some guys look like they playing hard, and then some guys look like kind of smooth.
Right.
He was smooth, but he was playing hard. And I always said, man, you never sweat. He allowed, you know. So, you know, when I used to go down to the Hornet games and go over to his house, and we'd be hanging out, me, him, and Gattison and Muggsy, and just chilling, and his son would come in, Steph would come in, and nose running, and get him some Kool-Aid. He got his basketball in his arm.
Hey, look,
he
everybody, tell him, Ronnie.
The
that's the Steph Curry now. You talking about when he was a little baby.
Yeah. Steph would he'd be going outside just dribbling the ball.
Yeah,
we'd be sitting in the house playing cards.
Man, this is great. Man.
Yeah,
this
man.
Awesome.
And this when he was a little kid, man. It was crazy.
Awesome.
All he did was follow Muggsy around. Everywhere Muggsy went, Steph was right behind him.
Really?
Yeah, that was his favorite player. He tell you to this day. I was his favorite player.
Muggsy Bogues, he grew up not too far from me. East Baltimore. I know exactly.
Yeah, Muggsy, good dude, man. He funny, he good dude.
5'3" from
No
Wake
doubt.
Forest. Yeah, Dunbar High in Baltimore, man. I know exactly.
That heart, man.
Man, I lived down there with the
gosh.
Charlottes, man. When the Gattison was with the Hornets, man.
Yeah.
I used to go down. Me and Johnny Newman was there. Dell was there. Grandma Mom was there. Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson.
Alonzo came in. I knew Alonzo from down Tidewater. So they had all those guys down there. We used to hang out. It was cool,
Dude.
man. Good guys.
Ronnie, man, this is awesome, bro. This story, this is what me and Larry do this for, my man.
Yes, sir, man.
I'm speaking from the heart here. We do this for stories like this.
But no, y'all got to keep it real. Absolutely.
No, I'm just saying, not many people know your story. I mean, this is great, man. This is great. I love it.
Yeah, because the only thing we know just knew about Ronnie, the great player that played at Marshall Walker, but all these other stories. When we was at the game, we would, me personally, I was just focused on just, getting the game. And I see y'all always had a great family niche, like y'all, just y'all made it comfortable. So I said, man, I want to get to know him, but we were just so focused on them games, man. This is an outlet, man. I just appreciate you just coming on and talking to us, man. Because you didn't have to come on, man, but y'all was always so great to me, and I'm glad that you came on with me and my co-host, man. Because told you we tell him Ronnie was one of the first couple of people that we had on that list when we started talking about doing this back in the summer.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks
man,
a lot,
man. We just interview these great players, man, because we appreciate with your contribution to the game, man.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's and a lot of times, a lot of parents will put a lot of pressure on their kids, man. Just let them have fun and enjoy. If they play, they play. If they don't, they don't. Matter of fact, my sons didn't even know I had trophies until they was probably like 8 or 9 years old.
I was gonna ask you. Did you ever give them any pop the VHS tapes in, hey, look at Dad kind of thing, or you just kind of let them do their own thing?
Later on, but what I did, all my trophies are in the attic in a box. Okay. And so whatever trophies they won, I would display them in the trophy case. And so they was always talking about their trophies. So one day my wife told my son, said, your daddy got trophies. They said, oh, really?
Tell him, Ms. Wade.
We went into the attic and they brought my trophies out. I must have had 50 or 60 trophies all over the place. And they were amazed. They cleaned them up, had them all over the floor and kept them out. They had no idea. So I don't think they knew how I played when I came up, because we used to go out to dinner and someone would come over who watched me play. And they would ask my sons, can you play like your father? And they were like, yeah, I could beat him. So we just let it go. I let them do their thing. Yeah.
Let me ask you this though. You talked about you came from Highland Park, and you successful. You graduated from college. And I asked this to Larry. I asked this to Nairi. I said, what you've experienced and what you've been through. You said you played overseas, and a guy from Highland Park, man, you made it, bro. You made it. I'm being real about this. I'm just saying. You ever sit back and think, I'm a guy from Highland Park, Northside Richmond. I made it. I
was always blessed to have strong male role models in my life. My father was there, strong uncles, had great coaching support. Even the girl I dated in high school, their fathers were strong men. And so I've always had that strong male role model. And so my father told me once, a boy can't be a man unless he sees a man. And that always stuck with me. So I made sure my boys always saw me being a man and hope they will grow up to be good men.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. And
your family's always for respect.
All respect.
Always respect.
Last question for me, Mr. Wade. I just want to say, what does sports do for you? I mean, obviously you went to college and everything, but deep down, when you first started playing sports to where you are now, looking back on it, what did sports do for you in your life?
Sports opened a lot of doors and gave me a lot of passes that maybe I wouldn't have had. And what I mean by that
Great question.
When I grew up in Northside, we would play ball outside, and you had the guys who would do the drugs and get high and do those things. And because I was an athlete, they say, don't mess with Wade. He's good. So you got those passes. As I started developing, getting better, and being around people, I got to know more people through people, and I made connections that took me all the way through my life to when I got to sales. Even when they opened doors where people were seeking me out. Still to this day, I talk to people I just met the other day who remember me playing back in Old Domain and Richmond. So it just opens doors that normally and breaks walls down that normally you would have to really fight to get through. So it's been great. And I tell my boys all the time, make those connections because you never know in life who you're going to meet and who's watching you. That's why at the games, Larry, as you know, I wouldn't tell my son never act out because you never know who's watching you. Your future father-in-law, your future boss, your future wife, anybody could be watching you right now.
That's right. Yeah, you always emphasize that. I remember one night we was playing Trinity, we was playing Huguenot. And I remember Mondo said, yeah, we got Benedictine, man. We're gonna beat them. We're gonna beat them. And you was like, Mondo, you need to don't you don't really say that. You need to respect everybody that come here. You don't know what that team might not be good record-wise, but you better respect your opponents because you never know what might happen. You know, he just always that male role model that just stood up and said what you needed to say in a respectful way to get those kids to respect. And I stood there, and it was just great to see a strong man like yourself on the sideline with all the dads, man, because a lot of times you just always seeing the women there, but I just felt like that strong unit. You came there, Bob Duhart, you know what I'm saying, myself, and Chris Jacobs, we were just, it just felt like a brotherhood, man. And I appreciate y'all, man, just accepting me. And like I said, I always looked up to you, man. So I just want to appreciate you.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun, man. And like you said, the job is not done. We still working, still got to do it. Keep it going. And doing things like this, hopefully, a lot of people will hear different stories through you guys, giving people an opportunity. And you never know who life you may affect by having your podcast. You don't know.
That's a good point. And like Larry said earlier, these stories, they're inspirational, man. Like people. No, seriously, these people can hear your story and just say, "Look, I'm from Northside too," or like I went to John Marsh. You just never know. You said, you never know who's looking or watching, and that's why we do this for people to understand. Like, you can come from anywhere in the world or the country and be successful.
That's right.
In sports. We so happen to have a sports podcast, and that's an outlet, and that's a reason to be successful. But you can use sports any way you can, and again, that's why I asked the question about what does sports do for you, because a lot of people use it to get scholarships, to go overseas, and to change their life, and again, your story is so amazing, and I honestly, being an ODU guy, I didn't know it until your son got there. Now, unfortunately, that's my fault. But when I knew your son came there, I kind of looked it up and I was like, wait a minute, that's Wade. Okay, that's Ronnie Wade. Okay, now it's the dots connected. And I mean, and your story's amazing. Right. And
the thing too, man. A lot of kids, there's nothing wrong with it. Dream big, dream about the NBA. That's wonderful. But you also got to have a plan. What if you don't? Right. You know what I mean? Right. So the basketball is using you. Use it as well. Right. So it's no disappointment in the end. You're going to be successful. It just may not be on the court. But take it as far as you can take it and enjoy it. Enjoy the ride, man. Enjoy the ride.
Yes. Yes.
And look, man, Ronnie, we appreciate you coming on and, again, telling your story. And this is going to be, on our page. And again, this is amazing.
Another classic, man.
I appreciate it, fellas. Thank y'all so much. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know your schedule's busy, and we really appreciate it. And tell your son to get healthy. We want to see him on the court and beat VCU next year, please.
He'll be back.
Look, Ronnie, no, seriously, Mr. Wade, we really appreciate your time, man. We
absolutely
really appreciate. We love your story, and we anything to inspire these young men to do something special. We really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you just got all of us. The fight is never over. Keep pushing.
Yes, sir, man. We appreciate you. Thank you, Ronnie. Good seeing you all the time, man. We at the ground level, man. We're trying to hit this thing running. And man,
it's gonna be all right.
The story that you told today, man. I love it.
All right,
I love it.
Well, y'all keep up the good work and good night. And again, thank y'all for the invitation.
Thank you, sir. Go Big Blue. Go Big Blue all
right,
day.
brother.
You know
All right,
it.
y'all take
All
care.
right.
Good
Yes,
night.
sir.
Take care.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, over to you, baby.